Alright, it's time to get the sealer on this, and we're going to use the Technoprolite with, I believe I used the TE20 air cap. This is the Valspar, I believe it's their HS20 primer reduced to a sealer. I think it's 4 to 1 to 1, and we're just going to put one quick coat on it. I'm one of those people who tends to run sealer for whatever reason because I spray too slow. So this video clip is not sped up. This is actual speed. And I decided to go ahead for you guys and do the voiceover and leave a little bit of the ambient noise in the background from the spray gun and all that. Tell me what you guys think about that. I lowered the volume of it way down, but I'm not sure how this is all going to turn out and what it's going to sound like because I'm doing the voiceover with a headset, so I really couldn't tell you what it's going to sound like through speakers. I really like this Valspar HS20 or HS30, whatever the primer is that I'm using here. It does make a nice sealer. It hides really well with one coat, gets everything uniform, and I believe in the previous video I talked about the way I have this masked up so I don't get sealer on the fenders. So if you're curious why it's masked kind of silly like that, refer back to that previous video. So I always go around and try and get my edges, especially the back side of the hood on a job like this, because when you look out the windshield you see that back edge of the hood, and if I got any sealer in there, usually I'll tape the hood really tight when I seal it, and then I'll roll the masking down before I put base coat on it. But this one, the color was dark enough that fortunately a gray and a dark silver metallic, as long as you didn't miss any spots. If the coverage is a little light on the back of the hood, you probably won't notice it, but again, I try and get it. So this is the first coat of base, and I'm using the Sodajet 3000 HVLP gun. This has been my go-to base coat gun for a long time. I do occasionally use the Technoprolite. This gun has a 1.3 tip. I usually use the 1.4 tip in the Prolite, but I choke it way back. Otherwise, it just puts out way too much paint. And this color actually covers really decent. I believe it took 2 coats to actually get coverage, but I always do an extra coat. If you're in question of whether you got coverage or not, you've got poor lighting, you've never sprayed the color before, I always put an extra coat on just to be safe. And then I do a control coat after that with the metallic. So give yourself an extra coat if you're unsure. This fender just had a couple scratches in it that I'm putting a little base over that I had touched up and just put some sealer over them. Alright, same thing as the first, same speed, same everything, second coat of base, and I don't go into showing the third coat of base strictly because it's pretty much the same gig. It gets monotonous. You get the same camera angle. Still working on the GoPro, get you guys some helmet cam views here. I know a lot of people like that guy, or like that kind, excuse me. A lot of people like the Gunman's videos because he does that point of view, and I'm nowhere near the painter he is, but I do enjoy his videos and I like his style and the way that he does his vids. So I've been talking about it for probably 2 years now, getting a GoPro, and eventually I'll go ahead and do that for you. I don't know if you guys noticed the bright green air hose I've got. That's a Flexzilla hose, and it is a really nice air hose. That is a 1/2 inch, I believe, maybe 3/8. I can't remember which hose I bought, but usually every year, every other year, I replace my spray hose. Not that I do a lot of spraying, but my compressor is passing some oil, and I need to either rebuild it or replace it, and I just worry about getting oil in that line. Alright, you watched me do 2 coats of base on camera. I did 1 off camera just to kind of speed the process and get hiding on this hood. And on my little primer spot that was over here, actually it was just epoxy sealer. So I have no color going any further than right here on this fender, and the other fender I decided to go ahead and give a little something on the front here and carry the color back, and then try and just keep it right on this top edge with overspray. Same thing on the other side, although I didn't have anything to hide on this side. I was just trying to achieve color match and bring it up here a little bit. So what I'm going to do, for those of you who don't understand the color blender is nothing but clear base coat binder. This area right here doesn't have any of my color on it yet, and I really don't want to have any heavy color on here, just a little mist of it. I don't want to see any color on that paper, maybe a few drops of mist, that's it. So what happens is this area right here, since it's all got an 800 sand scratch in it, the finer the scratch, the less a metallic blend is going to show up, but there's a flip side of the coin. The finer the scratch, the less adhesion you have. So what I do, I'll spray the base coat blender here. You can use Intercoat Clear, basically anything to fill that sand scratch and then give you adhesion and a wet bed for those metallics to lay into. Now, this is a fine, dark silver metallic, so unless you really muck it up, you're probably not going to have any problems with it. But for a light silver or a gold, I definitely always use it. I could probably get away without using it on this one, but I have it and I'm going to use it because I need the practice. Same thing on this other side. I don't have any of my refinished color past here. You can see where it is on the paper or the plastic down here. There's nothing over here. There's overspray that was in the air that landed on this, but I will tack all this off. I know that's kind of close, but I can't zoom out any. Spray that color blender, and I'll show you what I use. Again, I say you can use Intercoat Clear. You can use color blender, blending clear, whatever you want to call it, stabilizing clear. I've got to find my cell phone here too. I think it fell on the ground. You hear it buzzing here? I always set a timer for my flash times and then usually wait a little bit longer. Getting back to the blending clear. That's what I use. In De Beer, it's 577. All it is De Beer is not a binder system. They just have a little bit of balancer that goes in it. That's basically what that is. There's your color there too, 500 line barrel base. So what I'll do, I keep that in a separate gun. I will spray that, and you guys will see me do it in the Techno Pro light here that you guys are bitching at me I should be spraying clear out of, but I'm not ready to get there yet, so bear with me. We're going to spray the color blender in that, and then I'm going to drop the pressure on this gun when I spray the last coat of color. I've got 3 coats on the hood. It's hidden for sure. It was probably hidden in 2, but my last coat, I'll drop the pressure, back the gun away, and you'll see me do it, and I'll slow down and really tighten up my overlap to make sure those metallics land where they're supposed to. I think I have 200 milliliters of clear in that cup. That's all I need. So I'll put you back on the stand and I'll fire you up when it's time to go. Alright, we're going to work on the blend here, and you're going to see me take the Techno Pro Light with the TE20 cap on it here and spray some of that color blender on the back side of the fenders so that that metallic does have a nice smooth wet bed to lay in and we don't get any strange looking metallic blends. This is just the way I do it. Really, there's not much paint that's going to go on the front of that fender, but I would like it to match the new bumper that I just painted. And this car has been what I like to refer to as molested before. The doors are not the same color as the fenders were and the hood that got damaged in the collision, but the trim cladding in the center of the door, that molding is the same color. So keep a sharp eye out for that. You'll see it in the ending clips where I do a walk around to this car. The doors, this car has been hit more than once, so it's got kind of a salad bar, if you will, of color on it. So I've got this wet bed on, and I'm just going to drift some color from the front into that wet bed so that I can just sort of transition it off, so to speak. And then any color when I do my control coat on the hood will sort of just land on top of that fender and sort of blend everything together. You'll see me sort of slow down and pull the gun away a little bit farther once I start doing this control coat. I probably should have slowed down a little more. This color didn't blotch up real bad on me doing a control coat, but I want to say in complete honesty, I may have done a second control coat on this off camera and not recorded it. I had plenty of paint left. I painted this whole front end of this car with 1 quart of paint, which worked out really well because this color, it hides nice, and De Beer solvent base is a really, really high pigment base coat. There's no binder in it, just a little balancer. So just keep your eye on the gun. This is the way I do it. I am not an expert, but this seems to work for me, and I want to make sure that you lay out the hood the best that you can possibly do it, because if you have a poor blend on a quarter panel, it's not going to aggravate you as much as when you get behind the steering wheel of your vehicle and stare out over that hood and say, wow, I really didn't do good. You guys catch that? The gun spit because I'm almost out of paint. But again, that's probably why I did the second control coat off camera on it. The SOTA RPS cups work really well, but when you're painting a hood and you're down to the nitty-gritty on your paint, you have issues like that. Alright, let's fire off some clear. This is the Southern Polyurethanes, or SPI, whatever you want to say, Euro 2020. I used it on that Chrysler minivan. If you guys caught that video, I think that was the last series of videos I put up left over from the winter, and this one was late winter, early spring. But put this through the Iwata LPH 400. Got the 1.4 tip in here, and we're spraying at a little higher pressure than I normally would. And with that light facing us here, it's probably snow blinding you guys in the camera, but I can see what's going on. Think we're spraying this at about 26 to 29 psi, and I still am not spraying this one with a full trigger pull. I think this got choked down to about 3 turns out, maybe 2 3/4. But spraying it up close and spraying rather quick, but not as quick as I would have to if I had a full fluid flow going on this. I just can't seem to find my niche with this clear yet. I'm not orange peeling it up, I'm running it. So if I can run it with the fluid 3 turns out, then either I need to speed up or choke the fluid back a little bit more. But it seems to do pretty well. It's mixed 4 to 1 to 1 and maybe another 5% or something like that reducer. I've been spraying it with the slow reducer and the slow activator, which could very easily be part of the issue. My gosh, you guys can probably barely see it at this point. Someday we'll have a little bit better lighting scenario and maybe a camera person who knows what they're doing. But I'm only going to show you this one coat of clear on the job. Alright, there you go. That's maybe half an hour after I've sprayed it. So everything looks good. Hood came out good, a little bit of dust in it, but It's not real peely and nasty. So I didn't show you the second coat, but I left the light set up there where I had it on the first coat, and I started on this side. So I sprayed all this, came across the hood, came from the middle, pulled it this way, came down this fender. Now mind you, I have that light right there. Oh yeah, I put it almost on the floor. So that might be beyond the scope of a sand and buff. We'll see. I may have to buzz it back down and just shoot another coat of clear on this fender. I don't know how I did it. I had all the light right here, but at any rate, that's where we're at. I'll bring you back to show you a finished product. Alright, final walk around on this 07 Grand Prix with the front end crunch. There's your fender blended. I just washed it a little bit. There's some water spots on it there, but the door does not match the fender. Now, I didn't paint anything in here, so that was a mismatch before, but what I wanted to do, I matched the paint to the front end of the car the way it was before, so I wouldn't have a mismatch. And the bumper matches the fender good, and everything's good. The fenders were not replaced. But I cut and buffed the hood. It's kind of hard to tell. The sun's glaring out here, but it's nice and shiny. And one of the clips I showed all the runs I put in this side, and I ended up having to re-clear the fender. I just blocked the runs out and re-cleared it. It wasn't worth the hassle. I wanted to block them nice and flat. But there you guys go. She's all back together and ready for pickup.